สวัสดีครับ Hello Kasit Piromya once again. This week or this time I would like to speak a bit about the broader picture of the Thai society. This derived from the fact that I have often been asked quite constantly or every now and then that what I think of the Thai society, where is it going? And my normal or usual answer would be that I am deeply concerned and I am worried for the course and the direction of the Thai society. It seems that the Thai society is in the state of stagnation, being bogged down intellectually, spiritually, morally. Somehow we have not been able to have an intellectual discussion to set a new course for Thailand in view of the global and regional challenges, whether it is the climate change, disease, radicalism, extremism, intolerance, inequality, and lack of justice in the society and between societies or countries in general, and so on. The past few years we have not seen a sort of an intensive intellectual discussion in the Thai society, as if that no one is holding back and fear to venture out and hold an open discussion to review the course of the direction of the Thai society. Then beside the intellectual stagnation, there is also that spiritual stagnation, that somehow we have at the moment moral deficit, lack of good governance, a lot of corruption or corrupted practices, and so on. A lot of half-truth, distortion of news, outright lies, and so on, by the political leaders of Thailand, as if that no one is trying to tell the truth or afraid to tell the truth or to be frank and to be truthful to the people. Every pronouncement by many of the political leaders or senior officials in the bureaucracy and so on seems to be based on expediency, short-term gain, or avoidance to confront the problems and so on. It's diversion of the attention and so on. So this moral deficit seems to be the name of the game. And all of this also has very much to link to the quality of the leadership compared to the leadership in New Zealand, in Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, or even Indonesia, or even Malaysia, or even Vietnam. The Thai leadership seems to be far behind the leaderships of the neighboring countries near and far. That the leadership has not been able to come out with a vision for Thailand and to be able to convey to the Thai public at large and to the international community in general the course of action that Thailand would like to take and what are the policy measures to support that vision. It seems that Thailand is moving along day by day like I think a ship without rudder, courseless, depending more on the sun and the moon, on the kindness of the gods and the spirits, rather than on self-reliance, the intellectual capacity, and the sense of purpose, and so on. And what we have seen so far the past few decades is that Thailand overall development seems to be stagnant or to reach at a plateau when compared to neighboring countries, particularly Singapore and Vietnam, that they seems to be on the rise in every sense of the word. the leadership, the human capacity, the manpower or the workforce, contact with the international community and so on. There seems to be, I think, the robust activities and a sense of purpose of where I think the leadership of Singapore would like to take Singapore along, or the leadership of Vietnam would like to take Vietnam along. And further away, Taiwan, South Korea, or even Japan are good examples that they have the political leadership, and the leadership have the vision, the wish and the aspiration of how to take their respective society onwards. But so far, I think for the past few decades, there is some sort of a darkness looming over the clouds of Thailand, that there is no intellectual discussion, discourse, dialogue, and so on. And I think the mistake is that we keep on relying on the personality of the prime ministers and the cabinet members and some of the political leaders, the political parties, and so on. So we have been, I think, living on this sort of a dependency mentality, always being dependent on someone with position and with power. But my point is that it's about time that we, the Thai people, and together with friends from the international community, sit down together and try to have an exchange, points of view and so on, to set the new course for Thai, the new direction of Thailand, to be conducive to the more competitive international environment, and to be able to cater to the wishes and obligations towards climate change, cross-border diseases, extremism, radicalism, and all of this and so on. That Thailand must sit down together and relook at where Thailand is and how it should position itself for the present and for the future challenges. And what do we do? I think then we all have to stop relying on the leaders, but rely to ourselves. And in that sense, I would like to call many of my friends and my colleagues, or people with positions in the bureaucracy, in the private sector, in the academic world, in the media, and especially my friends and colleagues in the non-governmental organizations or the civil society organizations or the not-for-profit organizations and so on, to come out and speak loudly what they want, how they see the problems of Thailand, and what are their, I think, offer on the new courses of direction. So it is more or less an incumbent upon all of us to speak out, to be courageous, to speak out and to offer solution to the Thai society. We cannot go on like this. We cannot go on waiting for the words of wisdom from the political leaders, or at the same time to close our ears and eyes to the ills of the Thai societies and so on. I think it's about time that we wake up and then we take the responsibility into our own hands and try to, I think, speak out, exchange opinions and so on. And if we could get together, then we will be a force to be reckoned with. Then we could coordinate, we could network, and we could be a force with a voice to tell the senior bureaucrats, the political leaders, that these are the things that they have to act for the benefit of the country and for the common good of the Thai society in general. So what I can do at this point in time is also to speak out to you, Thai friends, foreign friends living in Thailand and so on, that we could work together to push Thailand forward by taking the responsibility in our own hand and stop being, I think, dependent on the whims of the political and the senior bureaucrats in the Thai society. I think we could do that. If we put our hearts and minds together, I think we have enough of the knowledge and the experience to offer solutions to Thailand to overcome the stagnation of Thailand intellectually, spiritually, and I think in the practical life, day-to-day living and so on. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ